Let's talk Marcus Rashford's return to Manchester United. The inevitable return now that he's actually got injured. So, hamstring injury picked up in training means that Marcus Rashford's loan spell at Aston Villa from United looks like it's going to be cut short. David Ornstein broke the news the other day, and pretty much after the game that Spurs were battered in by Crystal Palace. The question was asked to Unai Emery, said that he picked up a hamstring injury in training and he's going to be out for a few weeks. What does this mean? What happens next? Well, this is Football Talks. Please do get your comments in below and let me know what you think about Marcus Rashford. I'm asking Aston Villa fans, I'm asking Manchester United fans, both alike, because this involves two Premier League clubs in this situation. And Marcus Rashford is obviously going to have to make a decision sooner than what he thought. That awkward conversation with Manchester United representatives looks like it's going to be coming a lot sooner than what he thought it would be, which was apparently mid-June. So that's when he was scheduled in to talk, because he expected to see out the season. Now, the situation and why he might have to come back early is because Aston Villa are dealing with him from their medical side at the moment. But Manchester United play Aston Villa on the last game of the season, and he is not eligible to play in that game because of the loan structure. So Marcus Rashford's last chance to play for Aston Villa would be the game on the 18th of May. So we're looking at just over 2 weeks now to recover from a hamstring injury. I think it's inevitable that Marcus Rashford ends up coming back to Manchester United, and that shock return to his boyhood club a lot sooner than what he thought has come around. And then you start to look at all of the stats and you start to break down the numbers and think, is it actually worth it for Aston Villa? Do Villa fans actually want Marcus Rashford there? Maybe this now has just freed up a situation and a problem that they had in-house with Ollie Watkins being the number 2 behind Marcus Rashford under Unai Emery since Rashford's loan deal happened in January. So Watkins now starts to play more games and Rashford is off the scene. He's back in Manchester trying to get sorted with whatever his future is at Man United. But Watkins starts playing more, and then the talk of Watkins leaving in the summer starts to die off as well. And maybe something can happen between him and Unai Emery before the end of the season, and there's more of an understanding. There's clearly a fallout between Emery and Watkins over what's happened with Rashford. Watkins has been very vocal about it. Unai Emery has tried to brush it under the carpet, but everybody watching from the outside knows what Rashford's appearance at Villa has done to the likes of Ollie Watkins. And Villa could be going into the summer. If Watkins wants out, Rashford goes back to United. They sold Duran in the summer. Asensio going back to PSG on loan as well. There's 4 strikers that they have had in amongst their club within the last 6 months that won't be there this summer, maybe. But Watkins now being the number 1 and only striker that they have got alongside Asensio is now looking likely to be the player that plays out the rest of the season for Villa. Whether that will impact the decision of Unai Emery in taking Marcus Rashford, we don't know. When you look at Rashford's Premier League stats between Villa and Manchester United, for instance, there hasn't been enough there for me to say that he is outstanding at Villa and he was a completely different player to what he was at Manchester United. 15 games for United, 4 goals. 10 games for Villa, 2 goals. More assists for Manchester United than Aston Villa in the same time. It's pretty level. He hasn't really gone any different at Villa. Yeah, he's had a couple of good games in the Champions League on top of that and scored a couple of goals in the FA Cup against lower league opposition. Does that warrant Aston Villa stepping forward and saying we should bring him in at the risk of losing Ollie Watkins? As a United fan right now, I'm just going to be very honest, this worries me. It worries me really badly because I can see Marcus Rashford now deciding not to stay at Aston Villa. Villa is a Rashford's level. That's where he belongs. And I'm not saying this with red-tinted glasses on and saying that Villa are nowhere near the same team that Manchester United are. Villa are better than United right now. And Rashford's level is Europa League or maybe just scraping into Champions League football. If he thinks that he is good enough for the Champions League, then he is completely deluded. Yes, you could actually get into a Champions League side, but which Champions League side are you thinking of going to? Barcelona and Real Madrid are not going to take you. Bayern Munich are not going to take you. Atletico are not going to take you. Maybe a team in Italy, we don't know, but who is going to pay the Marcus Rashford wage to take him to their football club. I don't think there are any takers anywhere at the top level of European football for Marcus Rashford. So then you're looking at other teams that could be in the Champions League, and yeah, you've got a case in that point for arguing for Marcus Rashford to be in that side, but are that team going to pay his wages? Now, Villa have just about managed to pay Marcus Rashford's wages in this loan spell, which is pretty much around about 90% of them, according to the reports. So Villa can afford him. Are they going to trigger that 40 million release clause, that 40 million loan clause at the end of this deal? Does that now come in quicker? Do we get a decision quicker than what we thought we would on Marcus Rashford? Are Villa just going to say, right, that's it, we're just washing our hands of him? Maybe they'll change their mind. They don't need to make a decision until the end of the loan spell. They could easily just keep him at Aston Villa and see if he wants to do his recovery work there. I'm guessing more likely he's going to end up coming back to his parent club, because obviously, in medical terms, that usually is what happens when a loan deal is going on and a player gets injured. They return to their parent club. And then, with that being said, does that then, out of sight, out of mind, focus Villa on other areas? Or has Unai Emery got it set in his head that he wants Marcus Rashford in his side next season? I honestly, I'm going to be completely brutally honest and say that from a United standpoint and from an Aston Villa standpoint, if I've got two players there between Rashford and Watkins, and that's going to be my striker going into next season, it's Ollie Watkins all day, every day, and on a Sunday as well. I would not even think about pushing Watkins out for the sake of Marcus Rashford. I'll really be interested to see if there's any Aston Villa fans who are watching and see if Marcus Rashford actually is worth it to you in your eyes. Has he done enough to actually warrant 40 million? I think that is his market value. I do. I think that is worth it, because he can turn up on his day, and he's probably done a little bit more influentially in games for Aston Villa than Man United. The stats are one thing. His influence in games and what he does and what he brings is another. And obviously that was just Premier League stats. And he is playing more games than Watkins right now. And of course, in all of this, Marcus Rashford and what he wants to do. Because it is very, very clear and is well known and reported that Marcus Rashford is not welcome back at Manchester United. And the reason why we know he will move this summer is because he wants to be in that World Cup squad for 2026 in the USA with Tuchel. And if he comes to United and just sits there on his massive wages and says, I'm not moving anywhere, and contractually you obviously still have to pay him and he doesn't have to go anywhere, he isn't going to play. We've seen that. Ruben Amorim left him out for 6 weeks while he was fit. He's not bothered. He will let him rot. But Marcus Rashford wants World Cup football. If he goes to United, comes back to United and thinks that he can stay at United, then he won't get into the World Cup side. That's Marcus Rashford's choice. Amorim doesn't want him. Rashford knows this. Rashford knows that Emery wants him. But Rashford's got this ego problem where he thinks he should be playing higher. What decision will be made? That's what I want to know. What do you think will happen? Let me know in the comments section. United and Villa fans, let me know what you think will happen. Is Rashford worth 40 million? Do you think he'll stay at Villa? Or what other club do you think he will go to? Give the video a like as well if you're loving the content. This is Football Talks. I'm Adam. Hit that subscribe button as well, everybody. And I will see you in the next video.